Thanks for coming up.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, the weather's really nice right now.
I'm here every like 2 to 3 weeks in Southern, so it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Just shoot up here. So I love coming here, man.
Making some business deals,
Well, I mean, so we
blowing
had
those bars up.
well, it's not the bars actually, Ambrosia. You know, we sold majority in June of last year.
Oh, cool.
So our new partners came over. We did forecasting and all that, and so I'm much more involved on a day to day, which means I fly to California all the time. But it's not the fun stuff. Like people think you and I just sit at a desk and make YouTube videos all day. But this is in essence, I've been in 13 hours of meetings in the past 2 days. So I'm done meeting. I'm like,
They ask you a lot of questions that you don't have answers to.
no, but I'm learning. But the thing is,
That's what happens to me anyway.
I'm learning every day, and they'll use like vernacular that's for what they know.
Right.
I'm like, time out. What does that mean?
I'm sorry, I'm not an attorney.
No. So I'm learning every day, and that's the thing. Like now I'm working with people who run big business. Like I'm a business. I start businesses. I invent like you. Like we have a lot in common. I invent food products.
Yep.
You know, so I invent things. I build it up to a certain level, and then I let someone smarter than me take over. This is funny because I'm working with someone. So I'm still there,
Right.
and we're taking it, you know, to that hopefully 100, 200, 300 million mark. So I didn't know how to do that. I knew how to build it to a certain level, but not that actual scale. So now I'm just, it's honestly, I wake up every morning and I look forward to sitting in boring board meetings because I'm learning. Like the other people are like, I'm like, whoa.
It doesn't mean anything to them, you know. It's not that it doesn't mean anything. It's just, it's the same as like going from 225 squat to 405. You're like, I know exactly, like, okay, there's gonna be work involved in that, but I know exactly how to get there. It's just gonna take us some time.
Yeah, it's just been a blessing. I mean,
So when someone says 20 million and then somebody else says 200 million, a lot of times you're like 200 million, but to some of those guys, they may have sold and dealt with companies that do 200 million, 500 million.
yeah, I'm a 0 to 20 guy. These guys are 20 to 500 guys, right? So it's a different mindset because you don't really need processes under 10 million. You don't need an HR. You don't need a crazy book.
Nice ideas, some passion, and you're good.
Yeah, $10 million. I mean, it sounds to most people who don't own businesses or businesses of that scale or local business owners, but getting to 10 million, once you do it once, it's like, it just rolls. I've done it I'm sure you've done it with different stuff you do, but once you learn how to do that, it's great. But imagine
Mainly with selling my own ass.
I'm a bodybuilder. Don't tell me about $20. But yeah, I mean, but yeah.
Yeah, that vending machine that has your trunks, you still got that going?
Only in Japan.
Okay,
They're into that
yeah,
stuff,
they're in good.
Yeah, but
Glad you're making money off it.
It's honestly the most fun I've had in years, and our partners are great. They're really good people. I mean, they're out of Utah, and they're just good
Of
people.
course they're good people. They're happy. They got lots of money.
It's funny. I think I said this the other day. People got really upset. I'm like, you know, they say money doesn't buy happiness, but it's a lot easier to be happy when you know you can afford your groceries than when you're broke. Like my wife,
Stresses you out, yeah.
financial issues are the biggest marital problems. So if you're able to remove, like my wife and I never fight over money, we just fight over me being a dick. So, I mean, if you take out,
But you're a lot less of a dick.
because I'm happy, because I'm not worried about egg prices.
Yeah.
You know, like imagine if you go to the store and you can't buy eggs because they went from, in Tennessee, it went from $2 to $4. Here, it's obviously more, you know? So it's like, I'm like, okay, well, eggs cost more, fine. But some people, that breaks their, and that's stressful. I've been there and it sucks. So that's why I tell people, like, getting financially successful means you have freedom to be you, to be creative. Did you get more creative after you made your first successful product? Because you were free to.
Yeah, well then you get like validation that some of your ideas are halfway decent.
Yeah.
You get some validation from like not just your wife or your friends or your family, but from the outside world. They validate, they pay for, they're like, that's a good idea. I like that, that's really cool. And then it gives you a lot of confidence to make other stuff. And sometimes you make stuff that's really out there that doesn't stick.
Yeah.
But you don't care as much because you're like, well, it's me just trying. It's your form of art.
And you get a chance to do passion projects. Like I opened a youth training facility because that's my passion.
Right.
I would have never done. You can't do that if you're broke.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't. So financially, it also gives you a platform. Like if you have something you want people to know about that you feel will help people or help society, you have a platform to do that. Mm-hmm. And you have this. You have a camera guy. Yep. You have a gym. Like both of us have these things that afford us the ability to help more people.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a poor person has never given me a job.
Right.
A poor person did not buy my company, giving my family generational wealth. But that you can be good.
Right.
Like you don't have to be a liar. You don't have to cheat people. I mean,
We're seeing examples of that more and more, but I don't think we had examples previously. So I think people were angrier at the rich, and you still see it. You still see people they're frustrated, which is understandable because they're maybe not in the place they want to be. But not every person that is wealthy or well off is trying just to get one over on somebody. They're not always trying just to lie. They're not always trying to. There are those people like we've dealt with them ourselves. We know them, but uh, a lot of people that are well off are actually they're usually pretty kind, especially the further and further along they make it.
isn't it so? I forgot the statistic. You might know this. I think you even referenced it on your social media. Isn't it 80 to 90% of millionaires are self-made? I'm sure the statistic, I can't think of the exact number, but it's some absurd number. So very few millionaires come from generational wealth.
Right.
Very few people. And a lot of them are immigrants. Immigrants are more likely to start businesses because they came here for that American dream, freedom, and they appreciate it more than Americans do. I'm a first generation American, so I know, what it takes to start from nothing. Come here with, $50 in your pocket, figure it out. And my mom did that. So I think you have more perspective if you start out not necessarily broke, but middle class. Like Mitt Romney's never going to understand.
Well, that's something to be really grateful for too, and I think that sometimes is the frustration. Sometimes people are like, well, it's easier for you because you're X, Y, or Z, fill in the blank. They're gonna, whether it's your color or your, but a lot of stats do actually show that your zip code is highly influential. Doesn't mean that you're out of the game completely, but it just means the odds are stacked against you. But I think people can take some of those things as a challenge. You didn't have your mom around, or you didn't have your dad around, or someone's an alcoholic or drug addict, or you were abused. Those things are, to me, it seems like impossible to be able to come back from stuff like that, because I never had to personally deal with that. I had two great parents, and I'm extremely grateful for it. But I think people can, as they become adults, they can just look at everything as like, that's like a little extra challenge that I have to overcome. Each person's dealt a particular set of cards, and here's the thing that I think is really awesome. Mark may have been dealt a particular deck of cards. I may have been dealt a particular deck of cards. You may have been dealt a particular deck of cards. But somebody somewhere along the lines has taken the same deck that all three of us had and done better than any one of us have done. So
Johnny
it's
Cochran.
interesting, right?
Johnny Cochran grew up in South Central LA, became the most prolific attorney of my lifetime. So there's always going to be adversity. And in fact, I'll actually raise you one. I live in Brentwood. It's a very rich zip code, extremely wealthy. I think these kids have a harder time becoming independently successful as those who grow up poor. And let me explain. They don't have to. There's no fight or flight. These kids, they fail a test. Mommy and daddy are still going to buy them a Tesla. So for me, and I'm training these kids. So imagine you have a kid who's trying to get out, trying to get a scholarship because that's his only way to go to college.
Well, maybe the zip code that's key is to be in the middle.
I think right at that brink of middle, being able to pay your electric bill, but not being able to buy the electric company. I think that's the sweet spot. And I was, I had my tribulations as a child, but then I look and I see real stories, like people who migrated here from Liberia, like NDO Champ. I mean, that country, I don't know if you've seen that documentary Vice did on you got to watch it. They had a general, his name was General Butt Naked. They used to dress in women's clothes to fight. And then they used to eat their enemies. That was it. That was recent history. The dude's still alive. Look up General Butt Naked. But yeah, and he came over here and now he's crushing it. So I look at people like that and I draw strength because no matter how bad I think I have it, it's like a bad day for me is Starbucks messes up my coffee. So, a bad day for them is you get killed. So there's just, there's a whole level of adversity that people have to overcome. And that's the perspective. And then once you make it, what can you do to set an example? Then you look at what Mike Rashid's doing with his stuff and all these guys I work with that they make me level up because they're so good at what they do. So we're all good at different things. We're all experts at different things. So you want to hang out with people better than you. So when you hang out with people better than you, you have to level up. Like if you have a team, if you put Lionel Messi on a team in soccer, for those of you who don't want football, the rest of the team's going to step up their game because they're playing with the best in the world.
They have to, yeah.
So Jordan, everybody stepped up their game. So you want to surround yourself with a bunch of Kobes, a bunch of Jordans, a bunch of Messis. And that's when you achieve, true optimization of your personal level of talent.
I love all that. And then you start to also try to, when you start to look at some of these different people that are killing it from a financial perspective, and maybe they have things together in other ways too. Maybe they're in really good shape, and you start to admire some of these different things.
Yeah.
But then you're like, I was with that guy the other day, and he like snapped a clipboard over his knee in that meeting, you know. And then you start to kind of look for other qualities.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I love the way that guy talks about his wife. I love the way that guy talks about his kids playing soccer.
Yeah.
You know, you start to find other things that you admire, and you're like, I want to start to blend all of that together.
Yeah, I mean, we all have our faults. Nobody's perfect, and we make mistakes every day.
Please don't list mine out.
But what you see on social media is the positives. I'm not going to post, and I'll do it sometimes, but
Sometimes you post a dance that you do.
the dance is great. But I'm not. You're not going to post like, oh man, here's me looking like shit today. Oh man, I really failed today at work. But. So you have to kind of put in perspective that what you see on social media might not be a person's reel. It's a highlight reel. Yeah, I mean, if you were to watch a highlight reel of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from this year, Brady's best passes, like they're winning the Super Bowl. They're not. So because with every positive, there's going to be some negatives. And when you go to start a business or you're trying to move up in your life and career, you're going to fail. You're going to fail a lot. You're going to get yelled at by your boss. You're going to fail. But the thing is, you need to learn from that. It's people who are too egotistical and self-centered and self-absorbed to learn from their mistakes and take that as a lesson to avoid those mistakes. And that's what you have to do as a parent. You try to get your kids to not make the mistakes that you made. So their path to greatness is much easier than yours.
Little less struggle, but then we need the struggle sprinkled in there probably.
That's where sports come to play. You want struggle, put your kids in a combat sport. Boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. Nothing's more humiliating than getting pinned in front of a crowd. Nothing's more humiliating than getting knocked out. So all my kids there was one rule in my house. You have a team sport, and you have a combat sport. Team sport teaches them teamwork, collaboration, getting along with people, working together. Whereas combat sports teach you survival. If somebody's trying to pin you or someone's trying to punch you in the face, that brings out this instinctual level of combat, of survival that you cannot teach. So right now I have 2 boys who wrestle and my daughter boxes.
And that wasn't easy to get them to go to do it all the time.
They saw me do it. So when I started boxing 8 years ago, my kids were naturally like, they watched me.
Is there times where they're kind of crying or, complaining about like not want to go and things like that?
Nah, I mean, my wife coddles them, but I'm kind of a hard ass.
Did you give them education on it beforehand, or are you just like, hey, get in the car, we're going?
Well, I mean, so it starts out as exercise. You got to learn how to throw a punch. That takes weeks. So once they do that and they're ready, you get them sparring with someone of their level. And all my kids have sparred. All my kids have been punched in the face, not by me. Just no CPS calls in my house. And I think that was so critical. And we have really good boxing coaches who work well with kids. And don't go to like and I don't want to kill any spot. Like I'm not saying don't go, but if I'm looking to put my kid in a boxing gym, I'm not going to Title. I'm not going to Round 9.
Stinks a little bit when you walk
Go
in.
to a gym where there's people in the ring beating the hell out of each other. And, now my boys went from boxing to wrestling. And my daughter, after taking a couple years off, she stopped boxing at 13. She's like, I want to go back. So now she's in there and she'll be able to spar in a couple of weeks because it makes you a better human being when you train to that level, when you exert yourself.
High level problem solving.
Not even getting hit in the face, just the cardiovascular needs. A warm up for boxing takes 30 minutes and is more than we do in bodybuilding ever. That's your warm up. And then you have an hour of work. And then if you're sparring, so it teaches you to grind. I don't sweat in the gym unless I'm boxing. Boxing, I can wring out my shirt. It's a different level.
Right.
Different level, especially for someone like me, who's been spent his whole life in a place like this, where an idea of exertion is 8 reps.
Right.
Oh man, I went over 3. I'm tired, but you get into that and you push yourself, and that's where you need a good coach. You're not going to if you hit the bag and you get tired, even I, with my mindset, I'm going to be like, oh, I'm out. But if you have a coach that's like, go, you got another minute left, it's a 3-minute round. So I think putting your kids in some kind of a sport, a team sport and a combat sport. I've been preaching that for years. And I think it was the best thing I did as a parent.
Gives them pressure and adversity in a way that you can't really deliver to them, no matter what you do.
Don't have adversity. Yeah. We're good dads. We spend time with them. I'm always there. You know, I'm at every tournament. I'm at every wrestling match, and they have money. Like my daughter turned 16. Grand Cherokee. My son's like, here's the truck I want. Our kids don't suffer in that way. They don't suffer financially. So you need to have controlled stuff.
Kid might need to sit on the bench for a little bit and be like, I wonder why the other kid's playing in front of me. They need to think for a little bit. How dedicated do you want to get to this? Because you can push harder, and you can probably start, or you could stay where you're at and be happy if that's what you want to do.
And if you're really good, find people better than you. Like my 9, he just turned 10. He's fighting in his age group, destroying everybody this year. He's 11-0. We moved him up an age bracket. Now he's fighting kids 2 years older than him, and he stayed undefeated. And I'm like, what do we do now? Now we got to travel, because so it's one of those things where, okay, you're good at this. Okay, so we still need that. We still need that challenge. If you're running through your competition, you need to find new competition.
Everybody in town is like, here come the Lobliners, and they just start going the other way.
No, I mean, it's so much fun. And then we have, like, with Legacy, our youth training, like, I got a squad. Like, we'll go to a wrestling meet. I had Lauren, she wrestles boys. She's a girl. Destroyed this kid. I was so proud. I was like, oh my God, this is great. Let's get a picture of you on the podium.
What have you been doing with yourself physique-wise and stuff? Because I think maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, last time you were here, I think you were going for your pro card. I think you got your fucking pro card.
Yes.
And then right now, you got to be careful the way you word this to bodybuilders, but you look downsized from where you were before. How do you feel? You look incredible. You look great.
I was 208. I probably lost weight from being on the road. You know how it is trying to get meals in. My metabolism.
You look very healthy though. You feel good?
I've never felt better. So putting boxing back in, ton of cardio.
You look younger even.
Yeah,
other people
ton of HGH. I got Liver King's doctor. And I had to tell that joke. Anytime you mention HGH, like, I don't think I can I need to get more successful to get on his toes. It was like 10, 15K a month
I don't even know, the numbers that they started spouting. I'm like, I don't even know if this is possible, but.
It was.
Maybe he's loading up.
Anyway, so I do want to do the New York Pro in May. I'm kind of planning on that. I'm also trying to get into
Got some good.
Oh, I'm basically contest ready at all times right now. So I'll probably, I've just been having fun and just training, and my training is very high intensity, high pace. I still go heavy. I think it's probably closer to yours than other bodybuilders, because I'm doing the cardio. I'm doing the sprinting. I'm not doing the long distance run, but I'm doing a lot of sprinting, a lot of boxing. And between sets, I don't sit still. So if I do a bench press, I'll do lunges or step-ups or sled push. So I've really stepped up my intensity, and I found that my joints feel better. I found that I have no achy hips or knees. Just the deceleration factor of lunges between sets have really helped my knees. And I really have no pain.
Didn't you, at some point, think that pain was normal? Like getting up off the couch and going and sound like a bear. Didn't you kind of just accept that for a long time?
I think that's what we do, though. Yeah. That's called, because you're, no pain, no gain. We're raised with that, watching Rocky IV, training, kind
of walking around like this all the time.
Yeah. I remember back, it used to hurt so much just pick something up. I'd be like, and my back would be tight. And I've also learned to train smarter.
You did a bent over row with 315, and that was cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did that. I did that on Monday, on Tuesday for a video. I'll still do dumb stuff for videos, but I've done different things, like switched up barbell squats, not all the time, but I'll do a lot of belt squats. I find those help a lot. Utilizing machines, different movements, different leverages, and I found that my physique's the best it's ever been, in my opinion. But I'm also, everything's just clicking from energy. I've been paying more attention to my sleep. I got a Whoop strap, so I measure all that stuff. And most people probably don't need this, but for me, I like knowing. It reinforces good behavior.
I don't know how you'll take this, but I think that out of all the people that I've met, and I've probably met you, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Something like that. I think you've made the most progress.
Thank you.
And you were already doing well then. You already had Tiger Fitness. You were already on your way. You're already doing good. But I just noticed some really profound, and we don't know each other super well. We know each other, but we're not hanging out every day.
there's a bit of a mileage between us. We probably would. I'd be here every morning like, hey man, what are we training? But I think
Probably be out there running with me even, I think.
I think so. I think with you, I think the same thing for you. Like you went from a, you know, look at your podcast. It used to be, I remember when I first came to one of your podcasts, you told me that you started this so you could help powerlifters out, give them a platform.
Right.
And now you got Huberman, you're talking all these big names. So I look at it like this thing's grown, and the first location wasn't nearly as awesome as this one. You have separate rooms. So likewise, I mean, you could have probably stopped with Slingshot. And I think both of us are in a position, I don't want to assume what you're doing, but we could probably, if we wanted to tomorrow, just retire and buy a house off the grid and get solar panels and never talk to anybody again. But I think that it's not about that. What would,
Sounds pretty enticing.
yeah, but what would you do? Like,
No,
I'd
no,
be
no.
so
No,
bored.
I genuinely like to help people.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, I mean, you're not a sale. Obviously, you sell. We have to make money.
Yeah.
We have to keep the lights on in this place. We have to profit. But at the end of the
Part of
day,
that's fun too. It's a little bit of a game in a way.
and that's the financial freedom we talked about earlier. You have more fun when you're able to know that, okay, I can make a mistake here and it's not going to completely destroy my company. You know, you can launch a product and be like, if this doesn't work, we just scale back and cut corners for a little bit and we'll be okay. And we both survived probably the biggest economic weirdness. I mean, if your business survived 2020 and 2021, you got a good model. And if you grew throughout that, you're exceptional. So many businesses just died.
Yeah.
Restaurants, look at all the empty storefronts. It still hasn't recovered. Now, more so here than where I live.
Yeah.
But where I live, everything was pretty much whatever. We didn't really.
They didn't have COVID there.
No, we didn't partake. but I didn't say the words you did. Edit that out. But yeah, I think that if you have a business, you also have to be nimble. You have to be willing to pivot. You know, like, okay, there's this thing going on that has never happened before. How do we keep our business alive? How do we not have to let people go? You know, how can we partake? How can we help with people training at home? People have to use bands. People can't go to the gym. Like, how do we pivot? And how do we help them, but also bring profit to our company? So I did the band training. I hate training bands. They suck.
Right.
I'm not a fan. But I did it, and I could have used a gym. I literally have a gym I can use. But I decided to just take 4 weeks and do nothing but bands, because if you're going to suffer, I'm going to suffer. You know? And I really didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
The bands were not me.
I did the same thing. I got out of the gym and I started to run,
I need steel.
just trying to do other things, running with a vest. I hated all of it. And I suck, you know, I'm finally getting some proficiency at running, but I sucked at it so bad. I'm like, I don't know how long I can do this for, but none of our guys could train in here without making a big, you know, to do in the area. Even when we tried to like do it on the down low, it got all weird. So we just had to nix it. And I'm like, well, if they can't train, then that just doesn't seem right. I don't want to be going in there by myself.
Yeah. And I mean, we're in the same boat with Iron Addicts in LA. We kept it open, but it was very, we lost our butt on it. But for us, it gave us a place to film content, you know, so Mike was able to go there, Mike Rashid, he was able to go there and do his stuff. And it was just him in there. And they were cool. I mean, we didn't have any issues with local authorities because it's Iron Addicts.
Good.
No one's going to shut down CT.
Right.
That'd be the worst optics ever. Like, here's a guy,
True, yeah.
you know, here's a guy surviving, the Superman from Compton.
Got someone else's heart.
Yeah, I mean, that guy's great. He's doing better than you asked me the other day. He's doing fantastic.
Good.
So when I saw him, I'm like, he's never been in better spirits.
Good.
His energy's great. It's just, you know, normal side effect stuff. His edema and stuff is, and he'll post about it. Like, he pushes
my
down
foot,
on his
yeah.
foot, and it stays there. But he's still around, and he ran that. He emceed that Iron Wars like you've
Great.
never seen anything.
It's great to see his son has gotten to be so strong.
They're good people. His whole family is
Yeah.
good people. And that's the thing, is that I've been fortunate enough to meet good people. You know, CT, Mike, Sean, all these guys that have just completely changed my outlook on life. And they have their faults. We all have our faults, but their strengths are. Have you ever heard anybody more captivating than Mike when he speaks? I mean, it's like I learn from him every day. Just the thought process, what he goes through, how he formulates his ideas. Sometimes it's out there, but a lot of times, like,
He's a thinker. He thinks about what he's going to say.
he thinks about everything.
Yeah.
The conversations we have, we've never talked about fitness in the last probably 5 years. Since we started doing, when we met, we started doing 2015, we started doing videos on YouTube of us training. And all his stuff now is about societal things, helping men become better, helping people become better, and speaking out on what he feels are injustices. And it takes balls to say what he says. And he says it. And people get mad sometimes. And that's fine. But he says it like it is. So it's good to be around them.
Yeah, it's great to have you here today. Want to just jump right into the podcast? Seems like you're in a talking mood and you're excited, so we should probably hammer that out.
I'm always ready to talk. You probably need to change.
Yeah, I'm going to change, yep.
No, I mean, I like that outfit.
You like it?
Those are dope.
Oh, yeah, the elbow sleeves.
So I actually, the only sleeves I'll ever wear, they're in, like your sleeve.
Yeah, you've always liked them a lot, yeah.
I wear them. I mean, they're in all my videos. I love them. Unfortunately, training videos don't do what they used to on YouTube. Right. Used to be like you post a boring video, it got like 100,000 views. Right. Now if you post training, you could have the best people in there. It's like, nah. But yeah, I mean, dude, nothing compares to the technology you've come out with. Like I used the slingshot the other day, the red one, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I still think people are confused by it. I still think that people are like, hey, isn't that going to help me too much? They kind of have that in their head.
The problem is armchair experts. It's cheating. Just like the people who think TRT is a full-blown cycle. They think that anytime you use any kind of aid, from a belt to straps, it's like you'll deadlift something where you have straps on. I'm like, you're still 1,000 pounds. It's like, I just think it's...
Yeah, there's a 21-year-old kid the other day. He deadlifted like 940, and he has straps and a belt, and he did sumo. And people were like, well, let's see what It's like...
Can you imagine the force 940 has just on your elbow?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I strained a tendon in here just deadlifting. I think it was 600 pounds. And my thumb's been messed up ever since. Imagine 900 with straps. I have straps on. Imagine 900 pounds. Like, just... That's a lot of weight.
It's crazy.
I think that people are so eager to make themselves feel better by putting other people down for their accomplishments. That's what's happening. Right. And you get it all. You get it on yours. I read your stuff. I get it on mine. And that's part of social media. Right. That's what makes it special.
Right. Most of it's positive, though.
Yeah,
like
99%.
It's easy to sit there and be like, oh, this guy said this or this guy said that. But so many people. Sometimes I'm just like, like, especially when you're in like a growth phase, like you probably remember this when you first started boxing. You're like, I don't want to sensationalize this. I'm new. I'm a dirtbag in this sport. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. I want to just learn it. Let me just learn it. But at the same time, you're like, no, it'd be cool if I shared the journey because this is different. Yes. And I do look foolish. Let me post when I'm not looking so great. That's kind of my thought process. But there are times where I just want to hold it. I'm like, this is for me. This is solitude for me.
Yeah, but I almost feel you have to show some of the getting to that level.
Yeah. You got to share some of it.
People expect when you first start to be throwing combos like Tyson Fury. I'm like, bro, no. I mean, it's going to be ugly, and it's still ugly compared to. And they're also comparing people like me and you to like the best, like compared to the average. Like people are like, oh, you're a shitty bodybuilder compared to Hadi. Yes, I'm pretty bad. Right. But compared to everybody in my local gyms, I'm crushing it, right. So you got to look at the scale. Like, I'm a pro bodybuilder. I'm not the top, but I'm still a pro, and I'll compete with the pros. But when you put me next to the best, okay, I have a mirror. I understand. Right. But people need to make sure that you're not the greatest. Right. And I know I'm not the greatest, but that's the thing.
That's where you can go in deep, though, and you can just, like, be the greatest that you can get to.
Bingo.
Because you can get like leaner than last time. You can get slightly bigger than last time. You could compare yourself to your former self. Absolutely. And keep trying to beat that.
And that's business too. You can do things efficiently. Did this report take you an hour last time? Let's get it down to 50 minutes and use better quality. What tools can you use? How can you improve your efficiencies?
Did you want to lift today too?
I'll lift afterwards, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Of course.
I'll change and then we'll get to it.
I'm not coming to this gym and not train.
All right.
It's super training.
That's right.